Yowie wowie! As if follow the buzzards Bray Wyatt wasn't badass enough, this new Bray Wyatt has me in complete awe of this character. When I start thinking about the possibilities and the capabilities of this character, they're endless. We start talking about who's the special referee for Baron Corbin, Seth Rollins at Stomping Grounds for the Universal Championship. I can't help but think Brock Lesnar is going to be that name. Brock Lesnar will be the special referee. And if that's the case and he squeaks out the championship, I start thinking about a face-to-face between Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar. Could you imagine, or should I say face-to-mask, because could you imagine that Bray Wyatt in that villainous Joker eerie character face to face with the monster, the beast, Brock Lesnar? That's a take my money moment. But then I also start thinking about the other championship, Kofi Kingston. And what about if that Bray Wyatt was in a storyline with Kofi? Bray Wyatt's character is all about getting the kids to kind of follow him, right? And trying to be this kind of brainwashing character. We saw Kofi Kingston's children in the ring with him after he won the championship at WrestleMania. You don't necessarily have to have the kids on camera during that feud, but just to have that story within the storyline, that could be captivating from day one all the way to the culmination at a pay-per-view. You think about all we always talk about lately and how WWE is PG and it caters to kids. But what about that character that used to make kids pee their pants, cry to their mommies and daddies, or hide behind their mommies and daddies? We haven't had a character like that in decades. You guys remember Papa Shango and the shit he used to do to the Ultimate Warrior? And the curses he used to put on individuals? Papa Shango was a guy that children ran away from. We cried, we hid her behind our mamas and daddas because Papa Shango was eerie as fuck. Bray Wyatt is that new day Papa Shango. The only difference is it's at a level through the roof. He can go in the ring a lot better than Papa Shango / Godfather. He can go on the mic a lot better than Papa Shango / Godfather. He's the total package. Again, the possibilities with this Bray Wyatt are endless. And whether it's Brock Lesnar or Kofi Kingston, this Bray Wyatt needs to win gold sooner rather than later. He can't come back and just be 50-50 booked. He's not just another wrestler. Bray Wyatt is unlike any wrestler in this world today, and he needs to be treated as such. That's my opening monologue for this Monday Night Raw edition. Now on to Monday Night Raw, the entire show. This Raw, it's weird because we were going in the Stomping Grounds, which we all can admit could be the worst pay-per-view in WWE history. And that's saying something because there's a lot of worst pay-per-views in recent memory. But this one could take the cake, could be the icing on that cake, could be the tip of that iceberg, if you will. This could be the worst of all time. However, last night's Monday Night Raw gave us some hope. There was a little bit of an edge to last night's Monday Night Raw. There was a little bit of a pulse. There was some signs of life to last night's Monday Night Raw. As horrible as Stomping Grounds was looking, we thought last night's Raw could be the worst Raw of all time, because that was the go-home show to Stomping Grounds. But no, Raw showed you that they actually put just a little bit of thought, there's a concept, into the show last night. From the badassery and ruthlessness of Seth Rollins to Roman Reigns actually having direction. For once, Roman didn't seem like he was being forced down our throats. They actually gave him a pretty cool segment, and the camera work and the detail that went into it was actually... there was thought behind it. It was actually good. You had a badass backstage segment with Heath Slater, of all people, and Drew McIntyre. You had, of course, the Firefly Funhouse, what should have been but wasn't a great main event. And Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, again, that should have been. But WWE writers or Vince McMahon more specifically, fucked that main event up. But still, they gave us at least Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, so they knew they had to give a pretty damn good main event. So there were signs of life last night. What bit them in the ass is the same thing that always bites them in the ass. Every time they do something good, they do 2 or 3 things bad. Every time they do something great, they do 4 or 5 things horrible. Mind-bogglingly stupidity goes into a lot of these shows, and we saw a lot of that again last night. It was like the writers got together and they were doing so good on a lot of these segments. Hey, Teddy, look what we did for Heath and Drew. Well, Billy, wait till you see what I got going on for Seth Rollins. Right? And they're all jamming out to Def Leppard, having some brewskis in the writer's room. That's what I'm thinking, right? Everyone's having a good time. But it's almost like they're not used to doing a lot of good shit, so they start overheating. Smoke starts exiting out of their dome piece. Malfunctioning, no more creativity is in me. And then they go back to their default mode, which is 6-man tag matches with the New Day, or the Iconics in a tag team championship match with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and they start doing all these weird shit, and they take a main event that should just be 2 of the best in the world, Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan, 20 plus minutes, let them put on a wrestling match. There's a concept on a wrestling show, but instead, they have to cut it after 4 minutes, put a 20-man schmaz in the middle of it, have somebody restart the match, even though the referee already said it was a DQ, so the ref, why would he restart his own decision? And then they restart it for only a 10-minute match. They ruined what could have and should have been a dynamic main event. So you have good shit last night. A little bit of an edge to Raw. Some signs of life and a pulse. But then they go and ruin it with their same old default stupidity. Let's get into it. Let's talk the actual show, shall we? From start to finish, beginning to end, top to bottom. We start off with Elias. Elias is in the ring telling everyone he'll be the special referee for Rollins and Corbin at Stomping Grounds. Literally, as soon as he makes this announcement, Rollins slips him from behind with a steel chair and whammy, right to the back of Elias. Elias drops like a ton of bricks with a steel chair in hand. Seth Rollins continues a beatdown on Elias. Rollins then exits the ring after making it known that he's far from finished for the night, and anybody that aligns themselves with Corbin last night is going to get that steel chair. They're going to be met by this new ruthless Seth Rollins. So Rollins leaves, and Elias is still down and out in the middle of the ring. Now this leads into our first match of the night. It's a 5-way elimination match to decide the number 1 contender for the United States Championship, currently held by Samoa Joe. You wouldn't know that because it's hot potato, and even with championships in this organization, everybody's 50-50 booked into obscurity. So allow the Amplified Man to tell you, Samoa Joe is the actual US champion right now. He was at ringside for this match. The participants were Miz, Lashley, Cesaro, Ricochet, and Strowman. Now you're thinking, top of your dome piece, logically thinking, there's a concept in WWE, logically speaking, nobody's gonna beat Braun Strowman in this match. But oh, it's WWE. They'll find a way to make Strowman look like a bitch, and of course they did in this match. We'll get to that in a minute. First, every single participant that came into the middle of the ring, they kind of had their way with Elias. Miz comes out first, puts a skull-crushing finale on Elias. Lashley is out second. He annihilates Elias as well. Cesaro is out next at third. He swings Elias into next Sunday. Ricochet is out next. He joins the party and he takes out Elias. Finally, Strowman is out at number 5, and he power slams Elias through the center of the earth. So Elias is just everybody's bitch the first 9 minutes of Raw. And then we go to commercial break before this match even starts. So the whole first 9 minutes of Monday Night Raw was Elias being everybody's bitch. We don't know really what this was supposed to lead to. Nobody really gave a fuck. We just hoped that Raw would improve throughout the night. We didn't hold our breath, of course. We come back from commercial break. 1 minute after commercial break, Strowman is already eliminating Cesaro. A minute after he eliminates Cesaro, he eliminates Bobby Lashley. So Strowman is actually looking like a monster. Good. Give us more of that. But of course, Vince McMahon will give you an inch. He'll take away a mile. And that's what he did here. Because Lashley and Cesaro, even though they're eliminated, they get back in the ring and they put a post-elimination beating on Braun Strowman. Ricochet gets to the top rope, does one of his little flip thingies, And all of a sudden, Cesaro, Lashley, and Ricochet, all three of them are pinning Braun Strowman. How is that even legal? Why is that acceptable? And why is that even happening? I mean, that's why I don't like these 5-ways, 4-ways, or triple threats. There's basically no rules. It's anarchy. Even though Cesaro and Lashley are eliminated, they still can get in the ring and pin Braun Strowman? It's bullshit. And these heels are helping this face Ricochet, and Ricochet's just like, thanks, guys. Makes zero fucking sense. And then Bobby Lashley and Cesaro still refuse to leave ringside. They're just chilling outside, basically like they're 16 years old again, loitering at their neighborhood convenience store. Hey man, can you buy me some cigarettes? No? Fuck. Let's keep waiting. Somebody will buy us some. And all of a sudden there's a flying Ricochet over their heads, because Strowman got back in the ring, because he's pissed off now, like his mother forgot to pack his Capri Sun in his lunchbox. He takes Ricochet, chucks him over the top rope, and on to a loitering Cesaro and Lashley, looking for somebody to buy them cigarettes. So Ricochet lands on top of Cesaro and Lashley. Again, I ask, why was Cesaro and Lashley still at ringside, even after they eliminated Strowman? Nobody's buying you the cigarettes. So none of this shit is just believable for me, and it takes a matchup that you have legit superstars that can put on a damn good show, and you have all this stupid bullshit in the process, and it ruins it for me. We go to another commercial, and we come back, and now it's Ricochet versus Miz. Those are the final two to see who's going to go on to Stomping Grounds to take on Samoa Joe. Now, this was roughly 5 minutes of a decent match between Miz and Ricochet. But after that 5 minutes, Ricochet gains the upper hand, and he ends up defeating The Miz on what looked like a botched finish. If you go back to this, it looks like Miz was putting up his knees, like he didn't trust where Ricochet was landing. Ricochet, when he finally landed, didn't look like it was supposed to happen that way. He had a look on his face like, what just happened? He's even looking at the camera in the crowd, and then he goes over to cover Miz anyway. And I guess that was the planned finish. It just looked like it was botched by somebody. And Ricochet covers Miz 1, 2, 3. So Ricochet will be the number one contender for Samoa Joe this Sunday. Are you excited about that? I don't know. I'm definitely not. Doesn't seem like a rematch, so that's good on what I call rematch grounds. But what does this lead to? If Ricochet wins the championship, does that lead to Ricochet versus Mysterio in the future? Mysterio said he vowed that he will be back for that title. Am I supposed to look at that as a dream match? Every time Vince gives us a dream match, it ends up not delivering. So, I mean, we saw that again with Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan last night. So, I don't know what that leads to, man. Ricochet is losing a bunch of weeks in a row, and all of a sudden he wins this fatal 5-way, and what? Sunday he wins the title from Samoa Joe, and if he does, what does that say about Joe? Joe's been treated like everybody's bitch since he's got to the main roster. He's gotten no time of day. He's got no creativity. He's got no real great storylines outside of AJ Styles. He's been an afterthought. And actually, to prove my point, I was about to move on. Joe actually got into the ring after Ricochet won this match. So after Ricochet just went through that over 15-minute 5-way match, and from behind, being attacked from behind, Samoa Joe still couldn't look dominant. After 20 seconds of Samoa Joe getting the upper hand on Ricochet, Ricochet made Samoa Joe his bitch. Literally, it only took him 20 seconds. So Samoa Joe attacks this guy from behind, a guy who just had an over 15-minute match with 4 other dudes, and he still couldn't get the job done. It was Samoa Joe who was hightailing it up the rampway as Ricochet celebrates in the middle of the ring. It just doesn't make sense, and it really doesn't make Samoa Joe look good. Like, at all. And that was the end of just the first half an hour of the show. And the first half an hour all just led to Ricochet being named the number one contender for Samoa Joe's strap. I don't even know. Ricochet wins, we're all going to say, yay, Ricochet deserves it. And we're going to hear, you deserve it, every single fucking show that we see Ricochet on. That's great. What does it do for Joe? Even with championship, Joe looks like another Joe schmo. And if Ricochet loses this, where does he go? Right back to the bottom where Vince McMahon kept him since he debuted anyway. Nobody wins here. I don't know the end game. I don't even care about the championship right now. I care about these two being booked properly, Joe and Ricochet. Neither one of them can afford to lose at Stomping Grounds. So let's put them together. Great call, Vince. Unreal. We go on with our number one, and we're going to Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans next. They have a 5-minute back and forth promo. I like it. They're great together on the mic. This is the only place they should be before actually wrestling their pay-per-view match. Because it's a rematch anyway for Money in the Bank. We've already seen it. Nobody needs to or wants to see it again. So if this is what Vince McMahon is dead set on doing, at least do it the right way. These two are opposites, but sometimes opposites attract. Lacey and Becky on the microphone, even though they're two opposites, it's like a magnet. They just come together and it's a beautiful piece of art because they are opposites. So on the microphone, I love it. They don't have to get physical. Last night, Becky Lynch decided to anyway. Lacey goes to get in the ring and Becky gives Lacey a Bexploder, is what she calls this, and Lacey is down and out. Becky Lynch walks up the rampway with Lacey Evans' hat, so Becky Lynch is trying to push all of Lacey Evans' buttons. Lacey is left in the ring after that Bexploder, basically pondering and plotting her revenge for Sunday. So, alright, I didn't need all that extracurricular activity. Just give us 2 or 3 minutes on the microphone, 5 minutes if you have to, and that's all we need. Let's get to the pay-per-view match, and let's end this once and for all. Knowing Vince, he'll somehow have Lacey win this, and there'll be a rubber match at Extreme Rules. We don't need to see that shit. Let's end this Sunday. And for those wondering, that was actually a dark match. After Raw went off the air, Becky Lynch actually took on Lacey Evans. So all of this is really for nothing. Backstage, Baron Corbin is in a backstage interview with Charlie when Rollins attacks Corbin from behind with that old faithful steel chair. So Seth Rollins is putting together a little list of his own, and he had Elias at the top of the show. Now he's got Corbin, and he basically told Charlie, I'm still not through. Anybody that aligns themselves with Corbin last night is going to get that steel chair, and the wrath of Seth Rollins will be felt. So I kind of like that little storyline throughout the night. Up next, Daniel Bryan and Rowan are out for a promo. I can't help but think, what are they doing with D-Bry? What has happened to the almighty Daniel Bryan? This is a guy who used to captivate us to the point where we jumped out of our seats when his music would play. He led a movement. We wanted to see him win that championship at WrestleMania more than anyone in recent memory. Even Kofi. And he just seems to be in obscurity, even with a tag team championship, because it's useless and meaningless anyway, that tag strap. Just like most of the titles in WWE. Even with that strap, a useless, meaningless strap next to a useless, meaningless Rowan. No shade to be thrown at Rowan up front, but I'm just calling it like I see it. Rowan is doing nothing for Bryan and vice versa. It's a weird pairing. It's stupid. It's not gaining or garnering any momentum towards anything. It's meaningless. And Daniel Bryan is in obscurity like he's an average Joe Schmo schmuck. And it's stupid. He's Daniel fucking Bryan. So I'm watching him cut this 2-minute promo next to this guy Eric Rowan about a stupid main event because it should be a pay-per-view main event, Rollins and Bryan. But no, they're going to find a way to fuck this thing up later in the night. Or at least that's in my dome piece. Wouldn't it be something if they actually gave them 20 plus minutes and actually made it a real wrestling main event? That was our hope. But I knew better. So that was that. They do a 2-minute promo. The Viking Experience ends up coming out and cutting them off. That's right, I'm still going to call them the Viking Experience because I can't shake that horrible botch that Vince McMahon gave to them. The good news for the Viking Experience is that they had a jobber match last night. You guys know I love jobber matches. That's where guys can actually become superstars because they can look dominant. They can actually look like monsters. So the Viking Experience, as much as they were ruined from the get-go on the main roster, They actually looked pretty damn good last night because they were beating up jobbers. I love jobber matches. They do justice for who you want to become superstars. We saw it again last night. R-Truth and Carmella are spotted in the crowd after this match. They're in disguise. The locker room takes notice and the locker room empties because they are in chase of R-Truth. Somehow R-Truth winds up underneath the ring with Titus O'Neil. Now online there's actually video of a little 30-second match between Titus and Truth. Now even underneath the ring Titus O'Neil can't score a victory. R-Truth kicks out of a count and people drag Titus O'Neil from underneath the ring. Titus is arguing with everyone else. What? I was taking on Truth, and everyone's arguing, and this allows R-Truth and Carmella to escape through the crowd again. They have to understand, this thing is gold. You see the numbers they're pulling on social media. It's in the millions. Each clip that they put up there, all you have to do is give this 24/7 title more and meaningful segments. Still, it can be a clown circus sideshow, absolutely, but it's going to be fun and entertaining. That's already known by the social media numbers that it's dragging in. Instead, it seems like they're only content with having a chase every Monday night. Stop with the chase bullshit. This could be something if you take one or two guys every Monday and you have them maybe en route with Truth, or you have them in segments with R-Truth. One or two guys, no longer the whole locker room. That was cute and cuddly for the first few weeks and it set the tone. But now we need more thought behind it. We need a lot more thought behind this 24/7 title. It can be something special. That's why I'm saying it needs more time and dedication, not less. More time and thought has to be put into this 24/7 title because it can be beyond entertaining. It's fun as fuck. And Truth makes it fun as fuck. Give it more, not less. Vince doesn't know what to do. He got something really good. He heard about the social media numbers. And now he's like, shit, let's just have everyone chase him around all the time. No. Or if you're gonna do that, you better put more thought in behind these chases. You can't just have them all go out to the ring, something happens for like 10 seconds, and Truth runs away in the crowd again. That's 3 weeks in a row, brah. I love the 24/7 title. I love what Truth is doing with it. I know where this could go and lead to. It's epically fun and can be. Give it the time of day, man. Hour number one concludes, that's right, this is all still hour number one, guys, with Heath Slater walking into Shane McMahon's VIP lounge. Drew McIntyre is in this lounge, the Revival, they're all just chilling, popping some fucking champagne, and here comes Heath Slater. This is one of the best backstage segments I've seen in a very long time. I am so proud of what they accomplished last night, and I'll even throw the writers in there, and if Vince McMahon approved this, this does not have Vince McMahon's stamp of approval. It doesn't look like it, because it went off too epic. But whoever was involved, man, I'm giving them nothing but the utmost respect. This was one of the best backstage segments, and something that we should be seeing more of all the time. I shouldn't be giving this much praise to it, but we haven't seen something like this in so long that I have to, or I feel like I need to. But Heath Slater walks into Shane's VIP private lounge, and he asks Shane McMahon for a raise, man-to-man, face-to-face. He says, I got kids, they're growing up, I could use it, man. And Shane says, I respect the fact that you came up face-to-face, man-to-man, but the answer is no. Now see yourself out, this is a private party. And you can see the whole time Drew McIntyre just has this look of sadness because he's got history with Heath Slater. They're good buddies in real life. Tag team partners formerly as 3MB. And you see, like, it's kind of sad. You know, he aligned himself with Shane McMahon. They're always usually making fun of everybody. But for Heath, it's different for Drew. And you see that in his face. And Heath Slater kind of walks off and he calls his family and he's got to tell him I couldn't get the raise. So he walks out of the lounge and the camera picks up Heath Slater talking to his family. And back inside the lounge, Shane McMahon gives a saddened Drew McIntyre a little nod like you know what to do. So McIntyre exits the lounge. The other camera that's on Heath Slater on the outside of the lounge that's picking up Slater on the phone with his family picks up Drew entering frame. Drew interrupts the phone call and says, Heath, I hate to see you like this, man. I'm sorry about that. I had nothing to do with that. Let me help you out. Drew goes to pull out a wad of cash and help out Slater. Slater's like, no, we've been through too much. I could never take that from you, man. Drew's like, no, I want to help you. I know your family. I know your kids. And he's like, no, I can't do it. And he goes to push the money away, and the money falls. And Drew goes to pick it up, and he's like, no, I got it, man. I can't take this from you. Heath Slater goes to pick up the money, and it was all a ploy, all a plot for McIntyre to beat the shit out of Heath Slater. And McIntyre did, man. This was so devious. This shows a whole nother level to Drew McIntyre. Like, he's willing to cross any line, any boundary, to show that whole locker room that he's not your buddy. And that whether he aligns with himself with Shane McMahon or whoever, he will prove a point. And that point could be pretty over the top, could be pretty dastardly. It could be a very hard point to get across, but he will get it across to you. I loved it. This is Heath Slater. We know as smart fans in real life, they're buddies. We know their tag team history. And he was willing to do that. And not just attack Heath Slater, but fuck with his head. Like he was going to actually help out. While Slater is on the phone with his family, Drew pulls that shit. And it was a vicious beating. I love this whole entire backstage segment, guys. I can't give it more props than I'm giving it. I can't give it more respect than I'm giving it. One of the best backstage segments I've seen in a long time. And again, here's a concept. They put thought behind this. It was so good to fucking see. It really was. And that's the way that you want to end an hour of Monday Night Raw. Now, hour number 2 starts off with Owens and Zayn. They're in a new show, the Owens and Zayn Show, with guest Corbin. Corbin announces his special guest referee now that Elias has been taken out, and his new referee for Sunday's Stomping Grounds for his match against Rollins will be EC3. At first we're thinking, hey, they finally got something for EC3, but nobody's really excited, right? He's the special referee. But it didn't take long. The second EC3 comes out to the top of the ramp in his little referee shirt. Seth Rollins meets him right on his back with a whammy steel chair shot. Victim number 3 of the night. Seth Rollins takes out EC3. Some more brutal shots. And Rollins yet again proves his point with Corbin in the middle of the ring on the Owens and Zayn show. So it looks like EC3 will not be the special guest referee. Now this is where it just gets tragic. Here comes the New Day. Your WWE champion Kofi Kingston. Somebody who is your champion. He should not just be another member of a group. I don't care if it's the New Day, DX, or the NWO. Your champion should not just be another member. He needs to stick out and stand out from the bunch. But nope, there he is with the New Day, putting on a comedy act, picking up EC3 at the top of the ramp, and they're putting words in his mouth. He's all knocked out from the chair shots, but Xavier Woods is like, yeah, we're going to make a match for right now. 6-man tag. And that's what they did. The New Day has a back and forth with Corbin, Owens, and Zayn, and it leads to a 6-man tag match with the New Day. And it's basically the same match we saw last Tuesday night. You just swap out Dolph Ziggler and you put in Baron Corbin, and we've already seen this 6-man tag match in the last 7 days. So we got the New Day versus Corbin, Zayn, and Owens. And as if that news wasn't worse enough, after we get back from a commercial break, it's announced that it's now 2 out of 3 falls. So now it's going to be even longer of some bullshit. Great. Fuck us all just a bit harder, why don't you, Vince? And on top of that, they announced that Big E and Xavier will take on Zayn and Owens at Stomping Grounds. So if you're not getting enough of this bullshit that we don't care about, you're going to get it again this Sunday. Great. So not only did we see the same tag match that we basically saw last week on SmackDown, just with Corbin instead of Dolph, and a 2 out of 3 falls match for that night, we also get it again at Stomping Grounds, basically. The hits just keep on coming. Anyway, after 3 minutes, the New Day scores fall number 1. So that was pretty fucking quick. Thank goodness. Let's keep this shit show moving right along. Obviously, we go to another commercial break, and when we come back from commercial, Corbin inadvertently takes out Zayn. This pisses off Owens. What are you doing? You're taking out one of our own. Corbin is like, it was accident, obviously. But Owens isn't buying it, and Owens super kicks Baron Corbin. Zayn and Owens leave Corbin in the middle of the ring. They start heading up the ramp, so they're giving up. And Kofi is able to obviously, easily, get the cover over Baron Corbin for the W. New Day wins. Does anybody care? That's rhetorical. Of course not. What else is it? I was going to talk about something. There's nothing else to talk about. That was the middle part of all of hour number 2. A stupid 6-man tag match for no fucking reason at all. And you're parading around your WWE champion that's supposed to be and feel special. He just looks like another sideshow act. We continue with hour number 2. Paul Heyman is out for a promo, just stating that no one knows when Brock could show up and cash in. I love you, Paul, but no fucking kidding, bro. We already know that. That was the whole Paul Heyman, and that's why I feel like Brock Lesnar could be the special referee, because several times in this promo, Paul Heyman was saying, I'm not going to be the special referee against Seth Rollins. I wouldn't do that. I know how Seth Rollins is right now. It was I. Nobody would expect Paul Heyman to be a special referee. Why would he keep saying, I'm not going to be? He never said anything about Brock, though. I have a big feeling Brock Lesnar could be, or at least is a front runner in Vince McMahon's brain, his dome piece, whatever's left. He's got Brock Lesnar as a guy who could be that referee. I still am not going to eliminate Brock Lesnar from kind of the main choice right now. After that Paul Heyman segment, I can speak, was a great segment backstage with Eric Young, and he's talking to Baron Corbin, and Eric Young was just like, well, thanks for thinking about me, man. And he goes to walk away, and Seth Rollins meets him. And Eric Young is like, hold on, man. Like, basically, I've been seeing what you've been doing all night to anybody talking with Corbin. I want to let you know, I did not take the deal. He offered it to me. I turned him down. I respect you. You know the chemistry and the history that we have together. And Rollins is like, Eric, I know all we've been through. I know you wouldn't do that to me. And Eric's like, thanks, man. They shake hands. Eric Young goes to walk away. And Rollins goes to take one step. He turns around. And you see him behind Eric Young start to swing that steel chair. Whammy! Right to the back of Eric Young. Almost in the back of the dome piece. Vicious chair shot takes out Eric Young. A couple more shots and Seth Rollins looks over Young. And you know Rollins means business, man. You even so much as do or conduct any business. Whether you actually take the offer or not. If you're conducting any business with Baron Corbin, you are on my shit list. I love this ruthless Seth Rollins, man. Hour number 2 concludes, and hour number 3 starts. It was like a little culmination. Hour number 2 into hour number 3, with a Roman Reigns back and forth promo with Shane McMahon and Drew. Shane and Drew are up on the Tron. They're in their VIP party lounge, and Roman is in the middle of the ring. And Drew McIntyre is talking about what he's going to do this Sunday, and Shane McMahon is talking about how he already beat Roman Reigns and how he's so hot in the business right now. They call him Mr. Fahrenheit. I love that line. And this leads Roman Reigns to have enough. Roman literally leaves the ring, but instead of traditionally just going up the rampway, I love how they made him go through the crowd to where Shane's VIP lounge was. And he goes to the crowd, he goes backstage, and he's met right outside because they see that Roman is coming. He's met by the Revival. He takes out the Revival in short fashion. He then goes into this lounge knowing that it's basically 2-on-1, but not giving a shit. He just wants to end this once and for all. He walks in, there's a camera picking up Roman, and Shane's got this look like, oh fuck, he's here. Drew, get him. Shane's able to get away for a moment. Roman gets Drew McIntyre, puts him through the lounge table, so Drew McIntyre gets shattered through a table. Roman chases Shane McMahon back through the crowd, so out of the lounge, through the backstage area, through the crowd, and into the ring, where Shane is met by a spear. This just didn't seem forced to me. It didn't feel like Roman's just being shoved down our throats. It felt pretty damn natural. It felt like a damn good segment that had a lot of good thought put behind it. A lot of creativity placed behind it. And it was detailed. Right down to the camera angles. And the placement of Shane McMahon when he thought he escaped Roman. And he looks over and Roman comes through the crowd already flying in the air to take out Shane. Everything was placed and well thought out. I really enjoyed this segment. So, mad props to Roman. For those that think I'm always coming down harshly on Roman Reigns, I do it for the right reasons. What I saw last night, that is what I like. Give him some creative shit. Shit that's actually gonna be good. Not forced. So I love that, man. And again, that's how we started our number 3. Next up is the Iconics versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. This was an actual championship match for the Iconics tag straps. They had all the pomp and circumstance and everything. They had all the competitors in the middle of the ring getting a glamorous introduction. So they tried to sell us that it was a big fight feel. But it's the Iconics and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now trust me, I like Alexa Bliss. I like the Iconics. This was not the position they should have been placed in. This is not how you utilize them. And they put all this pomp and circumstance and they tried to sell it on a big fight feel when they knew that this was not going to deliver and this was a rather cringeworthy 8 minutes. With Bayley by ringside to try to pump up her and Alexa Bliss's match Sunday, but it didn't really do anything. And in the end, it was an odd ending that finished out of nowhere. The Iconics defeated Cross and Bliss. I wasn't shocked that the Iconics kept their titles and defeated Cross and Bliss. I was shocked that it ended so oddly and out of nowhere. There was a post-match stare down between Bliss and Bayley, but nothing more. So nothing was really accomplished. It was just odd to me, all of it. It was a blah match. It was an odd sudden finish, and nothing happened. So all of this was just a waste. This was definitely a huge negative on the show. I feel the Iconics and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, they could have been utilized so much better than what we got. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse was next. This was just, I almost said this was nuts. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse was nuts, I almost said. Well, it was nuts. Next, just 2 minutes long, and I wanted it to be 2 hours. I'm in awe of Bray Wyatt right now. It's easily the greatest character we've seen in a long time. Enough said. I already started the program off, that opening monologue about Bray Wyatt. I don't need to keep on going. You guys know how I feel about Bray, and you guys most likely feel the same way. I know the majority of you guys do in the unit. The main event. This should have been fucking epic. If you're going to put it on TV, which they did, please just don't fuck it up. Of course they fucked it up. Looking forward to a damn good match, but instead we get a DQ after just 4 minutes. Thanks, Eric Rowan. 4 minutes, we get a DQ. That's right, that's the actual decision by the referee. Then for some reason, the New Day, the Usos, the Revival, Zayn and Owens, they all come down and they have a stupid nonsensical brawl that ensues right after this match. No fucking reason. And then when that brawl, that stupid 5-minute brawl is over, there's an announcement that Rollins and Bryan will go again. The match will basically restart, this time with everybody away from ringside. Nobody can be at ringside. Well, who the fuck told them to come down? Why were they by ringside anyway, everybody? This isn't like a cool thing. You're not giving us a consolation prize here. We didn't win anything. You're telling people that should have never been there to go away. That's all you're doing. That's like people robbing a bank, the police showing up and saying, we're gonna let you go, but please don't rob the bank again. Don't come into this bank. All right, shit, I'm out. No harm, no foul. You got it. Go on to another bank. That made no sense. You already DQ'd the match. So you would think the referee didn't fucking change his decision. So everybody was boggled by this. Nobody knows who restarted the match. Michael Cole was even dumbfounded. Michael Cole literally said, because we were about to go to commercial break, and Michael Cole literally said, whoever started the match, good decision. Fucking Rollins and Bryan when we come back. Cole didn't even know. Clearly, it wasn't just the referee. The referee doesn't just take his disqualification and say, I changed my mind. No, that has to come from somebody higher up. Who? Nobody. It didn't make sense. Either the referee botched it and it wasn't supposed to be a DQ, or Vince McMahon just said, fuck it, we're gonna go again. You're telling me that wasn't part of the show? There was still 10 minutes left. Clearly that was part of the show. Somebody fucked up. Or they just didn't care about that detail. And they just said, yes, he already decided the match, and we're gonna do it again. Those little details I'm not happy about, man. That they're not answered. Those little details are not so little to me. Who restarted the fucking match? Clearly the referee did, but whose decision was it? He can't just turn over his own decision. For no fucking reason. It was a clear disqualification by Rowan. There was no reason for him to... The schmaz happened afterwards. I hope this is getting through because it just was ugly as fuck. And when your own commentator doesn't know who restarted the match, for anyone going, BC, it's the referee, man. No, it wasn't. Your own commentator doesn't even know who it was. Who the fuck how do you know it was the referee? Michael Cole doesn't even know who it was. We don't know who it was. You know it was the ref? You got insight in the business that everyone else, including Michael Cole and the commentators, don't have? Fucking A. Pisses me off, man. Who restarted this? This was like Fit Finlay at the Royal Rumble looking at Becky Lynch, who had no place in the Rumble, and Becky's like, put me in. And Finlay's like, okay, you're in. And those same people that go, yeah, Becky Lynch, she deserved to be in there, so I don't even care. Well, the same people are like, yeah, I know, it was weird that Fit Finlay put Becky Lynch in the match, but hey, at least she's in the match. Well, guess what? Those were the same people complaining when Vince McMahon just threw Brock Lesnar in the Money in the Bank match. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You were happy about it when it happened to Becky. You're not happy about it when it happened to Brock. Well, you showed Vince by your enthusiasm by what happened at Royal Rumble, because you liked Becky Lynch being in that match. You basically showed Vince that works. So you're the reason that it happened with Brock Lesnar. Can you tell I'm angered by that main event? Because you had the 20 minutes there. You could have gave these guys at least 20 minutes, Rollins and Bryan, and that's an actual wrestling match on a wrestling show. There's a crazy concept. Instead, we get a 4-minute match with a disqualification, a 20-man schmaz for 5 minutes to break it up, and then we restart it with only 10 minutes left. All of that nonsense was wasted time in what could have been a Dynamite main event match. A waste of valuable time. Because Lord forbid we have an actual badass wrestling match on Raw. And when this was all said and done, this 10 minutes of action, Rollins pretty simplistically defeats Daniel Bryan. Okay, buddy, I believe that. I can believe Rollins can beat Bryan, no doubt. But in 10 minutes, so simplistically, that's what I mean. That wasted time was valuable. It's almost like Vince didn't want them to go out there and do what they're capable of, do their craft to the best that they know how, the best of their ability. It's almost like Vince didn't want them to do that. I gotta put my stamp of schmazzery on this. And then Rollins will beat you in 10 minutes. This is Daniel fucking Bryan losing to Rollins in just 10 minutes, simplistically. Come on, bro. I'm okay with Rollins beating Bryan, but you gotta give me a pay-per-view type match nearly 30 minutes long. And then you got amplified man stamp of approval. So I didn't like anything about this main event. And then afterwards, Corbin comes down to lay some chair shots into Seth Rollins. The irony, supposedly, because the whole night Rollins was laying people out with that same steel chair. So now Corbin's getting the last laugh, and Corbin hoists up that Universal Championship, much to the dismay of the crowd in attendance and everyone at home. Ooh, we fade to black and Raw goes off the air. Again, There were signs of life last night. There was a little bit of edginess when you look at what Roman did and when you look at the ruthlessness of Seth Rollins last night and what Drew McIntyre and that dastardly deed he did the Heath Slater. There was that little bit of an edge. There was a little bit more thought and detail into the night. It was just so much stupidity still on this show. Too much for me to say this was a fucking really good show. I can't because the negatives were so fucking bad. They can do better, and maybe this is hope for the future. I don't know. I don't know if we can say this is hope for Stomping Grounds. That entire card still looks like a shit show, but we'll find out Sunday. Unfortunately, because we all will be tuning in. Actually, I did have a lot of people say they're not going to. Whether they actually don't and just tune into the Amplified Man's Good, the Bad, and the Ugly the next morning remains to be seen. I'll be tuning in, man, out of habit and hope. And if it's as horrible and tragic as I think it's going to be, hell have no fury for what's going to happen on that Monday review show on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because I'm not holding back or pulling back any punches. We're going full fucking throttle. We're all going to tune in tonight for SmackDown. We're going to see if that little bit of edginess, if that little bit of thought carries on over into SmackDown. Usually SmackDown's a little better than Raw. If they do put some creativity and thought behind their show, this could be a good show tonight. Or it could be tragic as fuck, and we could be seeing some New Day 6-man tag matches. I'm going to get a coffee. Much love and respect, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for the SmackDown review and reaction. For now, the Amplified Man saying check you. Look at that motherfucker. The big dog.